Hey guys, welcome back to 1776 or Bust. So today we're going to talk a little bit about this gun right here, which is the Beretta APX A1. Now this gun is kind of an interesting one because it is the Gen 2 edition of what was a pretty good gun to begin with, and that was the APX. Now there are some people who didn't like the APX when it first came out because of the fact that it had this weird slide design where it almost looked like pillars coming down the actual slide. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people felt it was a very good addition to giving a gun an opportunity to have very good slides where you can manipulate the slide very well and very easily. You know, looking back at the gun, I have to admit, I enjoyed the gun. I owned a full size, I owned a Centurion, and then I also owned a Centurion RDO, and all of those guns were excellent. They shot well, no issues with it, very reliable. The ergonomics were great. So of course, we fast forward a couple of years later down the road, the APX sort of dwindled in regards to fanfare on the market, and Beretta kind of gave up on the APX. So it's kind of interesting that they came out with an APX Gen 2 and they did make some pretty decent changes. So for example, when you look at the grip, guys, the grip is really well done. I mean, when you look at the texturing and the type of texturing they put on the front and the back strap here, it is just very, very good in regards to making sure you have a good contact and a good bite to your hands. Also, you'll notice right along the grip here, you can see that this texture right here is actually a fairly decent texturing. It's not overly done, but it's not underdone. Also on the sides of the lower here, you see this little texturing here as well. It gives you a little bit of an additional traction on there. Nothing much. Kind of looks like it was an afterthought in regards to the design of the gun, but still very functional. Of course, here towards the front, you see these where you have your little pads here. Again, these can be used to just make sure you kind of have a memory pad, so to speak, for your thumbs. It is on both sides, as you can see also on that side as well. The front of the actual pick rail here, they've kind of redesigned this. They put the APX a little bit further forward, but it's a very nice looking design on a handgun. I mean, again, it's not a bad looking gun at all. You can also tell that they upgraded the slide as well. No more of those blocky whatever you want to call them, pillars, and they've actually done a really good job causing these serrations to have a really good bite on the hand. Very easy to manipulate the slide, whether you're press checking or actually racking the slide in the back. The trigger also, the trigger shape is actually more or less a flat face trigger with a pretty small take up or a pretty low take up. And then of course, when you brake, it's a very nice clean brake. The reset for some people might be something that they're not really into because the reset's a little bit long. And see if you can see that there. Right there, it's a little bit long, but pretty good feeling reset. And then the trigger brake. The trigger was weighing in about 5.5 pounds. I have to say I didn't really notice that when I was shooting it. I felt like the trigger did a good job of maintaining the firearm and really just having good control over the trigger in regards to just shooting the gun overall. Now, some of the things that you can see here on the slide, you can see that there is a mounting plate for a red dot. So these are all red dot capable. What a surprise. And overall, a very good looking handgun. So of course, when you look at some of the features of the gun, it came with night sights this time, which was always kind of a big stickling point for me because in regards to the old APX, it was very difficult to find any aftermarket night sights for this gun. They actually came with them on this gun. So you have a blacked out rear. And of course you have a tritium front dot. Unfortunately, not a high vis. It's only a white dot, which kind of sucks, but you know, you get what you can get. Overall, the controls are basically the same. The takedown, which is probably one of the worst on the market, is basically the same as well. You push in the button on the side of the grip, and it's almost impossible to manipulate one hand. Now, some people will say, oh, it's so easy to do and all this other great stuff. You know, I've had nothing but trouble with it. It's kind of loosened up a little bit, but nonetheless, I don't get it. Why would you do that? You know, it's so easy to just make a basic takedown lever. I'm not sure why Beretta decided to add a button to it. But again, it's the same old APX takedown. Nothing has changed in that regard. The slide is, again, pretty chunky. And you can see down here below, which is kind of interesting. If you notice, there's a green striker in there. This is interesting because when I had my old APXs, you know, a lot of people, what they were doing is they were buying the competition striker for their handgun to make the trigger feel a little bit better. In this case, it looks like it's already been installed on these models, which is, I think, a pretty good upgrade and probably a needed one. Other than that, everything else looks the same. You can see the real large frame and, of course, that large trigger group or control group. So, again, everything is modular in the APX, which is a really nice touch. But, again, So far, they have not released any other lowers. So there's no other colors, there's no other sizes. Right now, it's just a full size. So one of the things that I have to say about the APX right now is that it is a pretty solid gun. You know, shooting the gun was interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. So my shooting impressions of this gun right now are a bit of a mixed baggage. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, well, it wasn't that good. The gun was off. It was shooting very, very, very low. Now, I could basically say it was me, but I was not having the same problem with the 3 other firearms I brought with me that day, including the GX4, including the, what did I bring with me? The SIG M11A1, which was amazing. Also, I was shooting a P365 with the lower from Icarus Precision, and also my SDS imports. And I have to say, this gun was shooting dramatically lower than all the other firearms. Not really sure why that was. It could be grip angle, because another thing that I noticed was that I took the medium grip with me. Now you can see on this one, it has the large. Honestly, guys, I don't know if they reconfigured this grip, but it just seems a lot thinner than the old model. The old model, I was satisfied with the medium size. On this model, I have to put the large one because it's just, there's not enough real estate. And you can see, even with the large lower, or the large backstrap, hopefully this will focus in. There we go. But as you guys can see, with even the large backstrap, my hand is almost going completely around the grip. So the grip is extremely thin, and I'm not sure why it's like that, but it feels a little bit different than the old model. I could be completely wrong on that. And for me, it just seems like it's a little bit too skinny, even with the large backstrap, which I thought was kind of interesting. One of the other things I noticed is the magazines. You know, it's not a very positive removal, which may be a big deal to some, maybe not to others, but I just noticed it doesn't really release the mags with much bounce to it, so to speak. I mean, overall, what are my thoughts about the APX A1? Well, you know, I got to take it back to the range and find out what was going on with it, because it was shooting just way, way too low. I was actually aiming for the bullseye, and what was happening is I was actually shooting probably about 4 inches lower than the bullseye. So I had to bring it up another 4 inches to get it close to the bullseye, and I still wasn't hitting. So, you know, could it be me? Possibly, probably. Do I think maybe there's something with the gun? You know, I'd hate to say no, but I'm finding it very hard to believe that it was all me this day. Also, one of the other things that I'm noticing about the finish on the slide, it's not very good. I'm going to put up a picture right now so you can see what I'm talking about. But on the rear part of the slide here, there's actually flaking coming off on the finish. Not sure what's causing that. I'm not sure why that's happening, but it is definitely something that I noticed and something I've contacted Beretta about. And one of the things I'm going to tell you is the Beretta customer service is terrible. They never get back to you. Even when you email them, you can, shoot them a DM, whatever, you never get them anywhere. And it takes months and months for them to actually get a hold of you. And I think that's kind of crappy because it's not very good customer service. As I'm looking at this gun anyway, I'm looking at the front of the slide and the way the light is hitting the angle. Even the front finish here on the slide looks a bit blotchy. There actually looks like there's, some blotchiness to it. So I'll take a picture of that and put it up for you as well, so you can see what I'm talking about. But I mean, I'm kind of mixed on this gun. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the APX A1 isn't really any better than the first one. I mean, yeah, they did redesign the slide, and I think that's a plus. The grip texturing is the same. They kind of added some textures on the actual lower portion of this. But at the same time, there really isn't anything about this gun that says, wow, I got to go get one. If you have an old APX and you've been very satisfied with that APX, you can go out and buy the competition striker on this one. You can buy that right from Beretta. Other than that, I don't really see why you'd want to go with this gun. It makes no sense whatsoever. I got it because I don't have an APX anymore. I definitely like the design of it, but I have to say right now, I've been a little disappointed in a couple of things that I mentioned. First off, I'm a little disappointed that the gun was shooting very low. Again, it could be user error, and I'm sure many of you weekend warriors will tell me it was, and that's fine. It could be, but I did not have the same experience with any of the other firearms that I was shooting that day. The other thing that I would note is the finish on the slide. I'm a little skeptical that this finish is going to last quite a while, since I'm already noticing flaking on the rear of it, and I'm also noticing some blotchiness on the front of it. So what I'm going to say to you right now is a pretty basic general idea. The APX A1 is a nice gun. It looks nice, it feels nice, and it does everything right aesthetically from what the old APX was. Aside from some of the things that I'm seeing, for example, the slide not being in perfect condition regarding to the finish, and also the fact that, well, I mean, yes, they did some aesthetic improvements, but other than that, it's the same gun as it was. To me, if you, like I said, if you have the APX and you've enjoyed the APX, I honestly think it's a better choice than this one right now. You go out and get yourself an RDO so you can get an optic ready if you'd like. I mean, some people don't care about the optics. I might be one of them. But at least in the old APX, you had different colored lowers. You also had different size guns. So if you wanted the Centurion, the compact, or the full size, you had those options. Right now, there's only been one option, and it's this one here, which is the full size. And I'm not really sure if they're going to do anything more than that, for the simple fact that they're probably trying to gauge how these are going to sell. I'm not sure if this is going to be a winning solution for Beretta on this gun, but at the same time, it's not bad. But right now, I wouldn't recommend it because it's not any better than the old one. If I was working for Beretta, which I'm not, and if they were going to listen to me, which they won't, one of the things I would tell you very simply is this: Beretta, put some money back into the PX4 line. Why don't you give us a grip texture like this on a PX4, brand new? Do that, and I think you're going to sell quite a bit. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of my 2 cents on the Beretta APX A1. I don't think it's a bad gun. I don't think it's a great gun. And if you already have the old APX, you might as well keep it. So leave some comments down below. Tell me what you think about the APX. I still like Berettas. I love my PX4. I love my 92Xs. But this one, I don't know. I'm kind of crossed on it just for the simple fact that it doesn't really do much for me regarding improvements. Yes, I love the texturing on the grip, and I like some of the new little areas that they put the texturing. And I do like the new slide serrations, but is that enough to convince me if I could find an older APX for, $300? I'd say go get that one. So leave some comments down below. I appreciate everybody watching. If you can, leave a thumbs up and subscribe and whatever else it takes to help out the channel. So I hope you have a great night. Stay safe. And as always, freedom is never free.